So where do you see then, like this whole thing going? This is a conversation like a question I've asked several of my podcast guests now. Is like where, it's like over the next year, 2, 5, 10. Jerry, we I don't know if you saw in the we made a video about a year ago called "The Secrets of Spiritual Business." It was like an interview with him. He said that this was the decade of the shift, or this would be known in the future as the decade of the shift, and we're like, off to a great start, Jerry. You called it there. But like, where do you see this whole thing going? Maybe on both sides, or how do they merge, or what? Like, where is this going from your vantage point?
I believe ultimately it's going in a positive direction. I think there's no other way when you look at our history of, we've had so much compression, we've had so much inward introspection and division and chaos that we will shift into a new order, this is where like things can get a bit twisted because people can construct that order. But I ultimately think we will wake up more. We're going to start seeing how we have this interaction with the energy field that's ever present that we have just not realized that is there. We are like channeling energy all the time. We're channeling this cosmic energy, we're grounding it to earth, we're receiving energy from the earth. Even this new documentary that's come out about grounding shows the science of that. And I think we're shifting into a place that is of a higher awareness, higher density, higher vibration. I'm going to say that I believe that our reality here will be merged with the dream world, and that is ultimately what 4D positive and 4D negative is. We are like in 3D, and everyone says we're going to 5D, and we're kind of shifting. But 4D, we're already here. We've been here for a long time. We've been slowly encroaching into that area, and it is the dream world. It's where time-space meets space-time. This is the space-time continuum. Time moves linear, and we can explore space. And in our dreams, have you noticed how it seems that time doesn't really matter because you can be in the past, present, future? But when you look at something in turn, the space has to change for the dream to progress. And usually when you turn back to the space, it's not the same, something's changed. And I believe that those worlds are going to blend together. We're entering what's known as the age of Aquarius, and that's been talked about since the 60s, but now we're actually moving into that. From December 20th, there's a mass meditation event on December 20th, by the way. Everyone should take part in that and welcome these new energies that will be coming into us. Our solar system is moving into a part of the universe, this galaxy that has very high fluctuations of energy, and we are going to start downloading that. We're going to start receiving that. So welcome that in, channel it down. And I think from that point on, throughout this, 5, 10 years, 20 years, who knows, probably hundreds of years, we're going to be shifting through. We're going to be moving into that space. So our awareness is going to spike. We're going to receive a lot of crazy new sensory input, and we're going to have to choose what that means. We're going to have to assign belief to it. So that's why we should really connect with those who want to be of service to us and not of service to themselves, because then they'll seek to put you under them.
Right. So I'm very curious then to ask you then, kind of following up in this, is like, do you think there's any concern, from the perspective, because this is even like the dimensional shift, this moving to 4D, 5D is something that we've talked a lot about on Spirit Science before, but it seems as though even mirroring that with the biology of belief is like, if collectively people hold a belief of, density, material existence is all that there is, then they continue to create that, they continue to perceive that is the reality that they live in. And while there are people who are talking about this and waking up to this, higher consciousness, and that's kind of often the big question that I often frame is, is it that we're physically moving into a higher frequency where our bodies are no longer as solid, we're more in a dream time, or is it where we're remaining physical, but our consciousness is expanding? We're becoming psychic. We're becoming able to, kind of like Doctor Strange, peering into different future timelines, with a more, it's kind of like you're more on a plant medicine all the time. Just your natural state is like more psychic, more interconnected in that way. And if there's, existing systems and existing paradigms that are manipulating the mass consciousness, do you find that there's any concern of, just the next cycle being maybe a little bit similar, different completely, but similar to the past one, where there's still this, kind of these like tendrils of control that reach out and are influencing billions of people around the world, that kind of like keep us tethered to a more denser state of consciousness?
So I think that we should be wary of this movement towards AI and the like the holographic illusion of life that we can create with inside computers, because let's say in a shift to a new level of consciousness, there are like prerequisites in the way that, okay, so everyone can share ideas instantaneously. It's moving towards collective consciousness, in effect, that we will be able to access each other's skills and memories, feel each other's emotions, just connect more deeply. And it's already happening. You just need to be sensitive and tuned, and that's happening. Like anyone who's taken plant medicine knows what I'm talking about. And maybe even if you had mushrooms or something severe like that, but it's much more wild and chaotic and hard to make sense of. So I think that, let's say if that's like a prerequisite for the shift, if you want to control that or like hide it, you can still step into that yourself, but then give a distraction that mimics it, is an illusion of it, to the people. And then thereby you cut off the interest or the belief that it's even there. And when that happens, it's like out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see it, you're not thinking about it. You need to think about it to have that energy and belief system penetrate your mind to then become real and experience it in the outside world. So whether or not, obviously I can't say for sure anything that's in the future, because we're all consciously creating, and all we can do is work with probabilities. And I think that's what a lot of people are able to do on an individual level. The cabal, or this group of people who are working together in the occult ways, are using technology and using individuals that they may be trapped or in prison, to use those psychic abilities and things like that to further the agenda, to look and get the edge. As long as you can stay ahead of the others, you can lead the direction. It's like being at the front of a flock of birds. You steer. So that's the idea of the negative polarity, creating this group at the top that leads everything from down below. But I really always want to move away from that and say that there's always unlimited possibility. Even at the moment when the control is looming and we're seconds away from doomsday or something like that, where on the other side of that, it's like a whole new world, we can always have the chance to change it. There's always the chance. Always, even after it's happened, that it's like a bubbling. It will bubble up. And right now, all of us as spiritual beings are bubbling up. This conversation is happening, everywhere. People are starting to do things. People are starting to interact with their spiritual gifts and lessons. And so, as we rise, we can burst through into a new area, or like what's happened before, it can be squashed down again, and the pressure, the crystallization will still happen at that point, and it will rise again in a new and more explosive manner. But right now we need to focus on letting that which has already risen blossom and bloom, and let the other stuff fade away, join in harmony to support it, rather than create another division. So that's not what it's about.